Okay, so in class, I managed to convince myself that discount and markup were somehow different than percent change, percent increase, percent decrease, when they're not. So my apologies to Tiffany. I just remember that in one of the books, or the book that this course uses, that they are separate chapters, but for no reason other than that book is crazy. There is one difference, and that is usually the questions I ask relating to both of them. So in percent increase and decrease questions, we're usually just trying to find that percentage. That's because we're going to present it. Whereas in a discount and markup question, we're almost always given the percent off or the percent markup, and we're trying to find the resulting value. So the actual questions are different, though what discount and markup are just other ways to say percent decrease and percent increase, right? So there's no real difference other than that. So so here's a question. I just wanted to give us one where our discount and markup question really does look exactly like a percent increase or percent decrease question. So I found one. So we have a cell phone with a regular price of $179 is on sale for $119. Find the percent discount. So there were definitely two ways we could handle this. If we recognize the discount is just percent decrease, we can think of the difference over the original. Another way is we could kind of do this in pieces. The amount of the discount is what we could look for first. So the amount of the discount we can easily see, 179 minus 119. We're saving $60 on the cell phone, right? So we can see that. Now we need to know what the percent discount is, which means we need to take that amount and put it over the whole, right? So 60 divided by whatever our whole is. In this case, our whole is the original price of the cell phone. So this is where this looks just like a percent increase or percent decrease. We have our difference over our original, and that's what's going to get us our discount. If we want to, we can even multiply by 100 to turn this thing into a percent right away. So 60 divided by 179, this would be 33.52%. That's how much of a discount you're getting on this cell phone. So I wanted to apologize for making up some stuff about why they were different, and wanted to show you that this is not generally what we see, though. This is more of like a percent decrease question. Usually when we see discount or markup, it looks something more like this. So what are the actual questions you're going to see? They're going to look like this. You have two options in terms of things that you're going to want to solve for. One is that we're going to be solving for the original price, which is much harder, or we're looking for the sales price, the markup price. So in this case, we're doing the easy version. We're figuring out the sale price. So it says, what is the sale price? There you go. On a painting that has a regular price of $180 and is on sale for 35% off. Okay, so we can do what we did in class. We had two options, so I'm going to do both of them here. Option one that we did in class. To do this in two steps. So we can find the amount that is off, right? We know the percent off, so let's figure out the amount off. This is just going to be the original times the percent, right? So in this particular case, this is going to be our 180 times that 35%, which I'm going to write as a decimal 0.35. So this is going to give us the amount that is off of this painting. So I'll bust out a calculator because I don't do simple math in my head. Looks like we're saving $63. And then we have our second step. So sales price. Well, that's just going to be the original minus the amount off. So in our case, was $180. We're saving 63. That means that we're going to pay for $117. I'm actually going to do math on my calculator because it's been a long day. $117. All right, so there is our final answer. The sales price of the painting is $117 even. Now remember, we have that sweet shortcut that Oscar helped us out with. If it's 35% off, okay, 35% off, means 65% left over, right? So if there's 65% left, we can just use that as our shortcut. That's what we're going to pay for. So we're going to pay for 65% of 180. You just type that in your calculator, and you're done. No extra work. No need to do 2 different steps. This is the only time that this is less useful than what we did on the left side, this side, is if you actually want to know the amount that you're saving. If you want that dollar amount, sometimes it's nice to do the 2 steps. Otherwise, I want you guys, encourage you guys, as you do questions and try things out, try using that shortcut. See if it works for you. All right, so now to show you the more difficult version of these markup and discount questions. Finding the original cost or the original price of something when we only have the sale price is much more difficult. So looking at this particular example, we have a battery with a discounted price of $65, so that's the price after everything is said and done, is on sale for 22% off the original price. And we want to find the regular price to the nearest cent. Okay, so this is the question I talked about in class and said, I know exactly what you guys are going to want to do. And I know what that is, just to figure out what 22% of 65 is and then add it back on. It is not going to work. You're going to end up too little because you're then that 22% is only of 65, not of the bigger amount that originally was. So you have lots of options. You could just guess and check. Like, what if it was $100? Then you take off $22 and you'd be at $78, which is too much. And you try like $90 and you keep going. But the fact that this is saying round to the nearest cent means that guess and check is not going to work out for us here. This is not a pretty answer, so we have to do this mathematically. So how do we do it? Well, if you use the first method that we did, that's when you're going to get in some trouble. So we need to find the regular price, right? So let's just call that thing X. This is way easier if you use the shortcut, so I'm actually going to do that first. If we have 22% off, that means we are paying for 100 minus 22%, 78% of this original price. Now that makes everything easy. We know that if we take this, multiply it to our regular price, we should get out our sales price, right? So we can actually set this up. 78% of the regular price, which I don't know, is equal to $65. And solving this is painless, right? It's just like all those basic percent questions we did earlier. So 65 divided by 0.78. Our final total here, our original regular price, $83.33. Definitely not something you would have arrived at using guess and check, right? You would have gotten close, but you would have had to do a lot of work to get down to the right cents. If you did this without doing this, if you don't like this 22 to 78 magic thing, it's not magic, it's just logic, but if you didn't like that, you could set it up exactly like we did the previous question. And guess and check is actually a great way to get there. So let me just go ahead. I know all of this is right, but I'm just going to erase it so that we have some space to work with. Okay, I'm erasing it just so we can play around. Like if I didn't know how to do that, didn't do a bunch of these just to memorize it, how could I have figured this crap out if I were stuck on a test? So first thing I would do, if you did the wrong thing here and multiplied, you realize this doesn't work. So let's just guess at a regular price. I know I said that that's a bad idea, but we can try it. So let's say that our regular price is $100. That's our guess. What we can do is we can plug that $100 into the sort of algorithm we've been doing, right? We could sit there and say, okay, well, 100 times 0.22, that's going to give me my discount. There's our discount. And then I can take the 60, not the 60, but the 100, the original price, 100 minus 22, and I get that my sales price is $78. Which is too much, right? Then I go, oh crap, well that was too high. Let me try something else, try something lower. What if my X was 80? and I go through the exact same steps. Well, I need to take 22% off of that. So now I have to actually bust out a calculator. It looks like I'm going to be saving $17.60 as my discount. So if I take my original 80 and subtract off that 17.6, looks like that camera is now $62.40. Pretty dang close to 65, a lot closer, but now I'm too low. The really nice thing about Guess and Check is I now know my correct answer is something bigger than 80 but smaller than 100, and it's a lot closer to 80. So I already have a frame of reference for what a good answer looks like, which is very helpful. And now I also have seen sort of the algorithm of what happens. Look, what do I do with my guess? This is how you figure out, do these things with Guess and Check. My guess, I multiply it by 0.22, and then I subtract this answer from that 80 again, right? These are all the places that the 80 went. So I am now going to say, okay, now that I can see this pattern, right? Same thing here with the 100, the 100, the 100. Okay, I am going to go ahead and replace the 100 in all of these questions with an X. So I'm going to bring X down here, which means I have 0.22X, right? This was X also, and then we subtracted whatever we had here. So this is what we've been checking, right? All we've been doing is taking original minus this original times 0.22. Original minus 0.22 times the original, right? The original amount minus the discount. And what do we want? We want this to be 65 bucks. So now we have an equation we can actually work with. Yay! It's not done, and there's still mistakes we can make. Like I said in class, a lot of students have trouble with this part, combining our like terms, but Christina was really good to give us, oh, there's a 1 out in front of here. And I can do 1 minus 0.22 in my calculator. I can find out that if I combine my like terms, this is 0.78x is equal to 65, taking me to the same step that all the shortcut people were at and giving me that final one step that I have to do to finish. So that's how Guess and Check can really help you. So if you're somebody who's like, I can't do these crazy algebra things, but you can do common sense, like I get how much a discount is going to be, you can do it. I promise. I want to do one last thing. And that final thing is I just gave you 2 discount questions, so I wanted to give us 1 markup question. So here it is. A fishing pole has a cost of $120 and a markup rate of 24%. Find the selling price. So with markup, instead of dealing with an original price being discounted, we're dealing with a cost of something coming in, and then we're marking it up to sell. This is how companies make profits, right? They have to get the thing from a manufacturer from somewhere for cheaper than they sell it for, otherwise they're losing money. So we can see here our fishing pole has a cost of 120 bucks and that we are going to mark it up 24%. And we want to know what the final selling price is. So again, we have those steps we could do. We could figure out the amount of the markup. If we want to figure out the amount of the markup, we're simply figuring out what 24% of 120 is. I'm always using my handy dandy calculator. So this is $28.80. And then we're just going to do exactly what we did in the discount questions, except for instead of subtracting, we're going to add. So we'll take that $120, add the amount of the markup, and we will figure out that we should sell this, or that they will sell this fishing pole for $148.80. So that's the steps wise, right? So now again, the reason I wanted to do this was just to show you how this works in the shortcut land. Shortcut, well, we need to add 24%. We always have 100% to start with. So if we take and add 24% to that, we are charging people 124%. So we can just take that from the beginning and multiply it with our cost. 120 times 1.24, because that's 124% in decimal form, is just equal to 148.80. So it takes you straight to the right answer right away by realizing if I'm going to add, I just increase my percentage as opposed to doing a step and finding the amount of the markup. So this is not as useful though if you actually want to know how much are we making profit. So this is very helpful to do it in steps when you want to know what's the profit we're going to make on this fishing pole when we sell it.